Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another Threads of Enlightenment, this beautiful episode. I cannot wait because I have a couple of people before us, and you guys know how my custom is to honor them first, because I know they're coming with a couple of things I deem very expensive, and the fact that they're coming to spend some of that with you and I need to take the time and honor them. First, time. 24 hours has been afforded every one of us that is walking this planet. What we do with that 24 hours will tell me much about you. I had to learn to honor her, respect her. And when I did, my relationships became rich. My encounters become valuable, all that stuff. So you guys need to learn to honor her, respect her. I promise you, she will honor you and respect you. The other is the journey. The journey is a powerful creator. It has created Jeff and Mindy that is sitting before us, and they got some stuff inside of them that this journey had deposited, some stuff, I call it, some really expensive things, and I want access to all of that. What is that? Wisdom, knowledge, insights. All of these things reside in them richly, and we want to access it so that we can dance in their wisdom, in their knowledge. Why? So that we could become free and become better human spirits while we're walking this planet. Guys, welcome to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's an honor. I didn't want to tell you guys about this question that I usually ask everyone because I just want to throw it at you. This is how we start the show. And I asked this question because I want to make sure that my audience understand, the ones that are coming to hear us, to engage and partake of our conversation, to understand that while they're here on this earth, that their journey is two-part. There's a independent and there's an interdependent. How do you guys serve mankind individually? How do you serve mankind?
That's a good question.
That's a thing.
Well, I'll go back to our past. So we started on a journey of really wanting to provide platforms and pathways for people to excel, to be able to showcase what they can do and give them the opportunity to celebrate those transformations or celebrates those wisdom and insight both stage, so to speak. I think that's what we've done throughout our career. For me, it's always been about providing the ability for people to access information and insight and inspiration and innovations that can help them, live a happier life and, enjoy what they're doing.
That is awesome. And Mindy, how do you announce your assignment, if you will, the way you serve? How do you serve mankind as an individual? How do you put yours in your word?
Well, similar to Jeff, I'll go with that. And in addition, I think for both of us, what we did is we went on our own journey of introspection, of self-empowerment. Yeah. And in doing that, it shifts your energy, it shifts your frequency, it raises your vibration, and it makes you a happier person. And happiness is contagious. So the people around you start smiling and feeling better. And it's, smiling is a gift that keeps giving.
I absolutely believe that. I actually was in a stadium and I saw a speaker came up and he walked on stage. They gave him the mic and he began to laugh. And he's looking at everyone. Everyone looks at him as if he's lost his mind because we've never seen this ever in the entirety. We paid a lot of money. He didn't come here for this. That's how we're thinking. Within about a half hour, guys, the entire stadium, thousands of people, was on the floor laughing. And so, as Mindy says, laughter is a contagious thing. It is also it affects an individual to a cellular level. It changes things. It changes states. It changes mood. It changes all kinds of stuff. So I always try to tell people, introduce laughter in your life. It will change you. I worked in healthcare and I've seen it healed people. People got healed from laughter. One of our customs here that we do, guys, is go back into this time machine via the memory and we revisit certain spaces that we reside for a short time until, as we say, we're coming forward to become quote unquote adults. You know how that is. And but one of the very first spaces that we hang out for a few years, we call that the family. We have these two individual mom and dad. Mom and dad are basically, I look at them as scientists. They're going to do some thesis on their thesis on some practice, all kinds of stuff. And that family is a lab. They are traumatized, and through their trauma, they have certain perspective, and they understand the world through their trauma, through their perspective. They are now going to deposit data into your life. Mindy, what was your family unit like?
Well, my family unit it consisted almost of two sets of children. So I have two older siblings, and then it was me and my younger sibling. So it was interesting because I always aspired to be besties with my older siblings, but them having a little kid as coming into their space when they're with their teenage friends didn't always mesh. So I always looked up to them. And because of that, a lot of what I aspired to do or how my personality developed was in watching them and observing them and taking things from them that I admired and respected.
And Jeff, same question to you.
I would say that from an earlier age, my parents were young.
Yes.
My mom was like, I think 17 when she had me. My dad was like 19, somewhere around that. I might be off by a year or so. So they tried to be more friends than parents, and that was good for certain time periods and not good for other time periods. But when you're talking about traumas or you're talking about people's perception of the world or the programming that they've dealt with and that they're passing on, their model of the world, I would not say lines up with my model of the world in many ways. Although I may not have understood that at a younger age, it became more reflective over the years.
Yeah, it usually is, as they say, hindsight is always a good reflector and helps us to see a little clearly. But when we're in the thick of the thing, as they say, the eye of the storm, all that stuff don't mean a damn thing. We're just fighting back and forth and tearing up the house as what a storm does. So as you grew in this, Mindy, you had your siblings as your point of reference to gather data from. As you were in that space, what did you as a young individual perceive and gathered from them that was good, if you will?
That's an interesting question and one that I need to think about a little more.
This is one of my assignment, guys. This is I'll talk to you about one of my assignment. I feel as for my guests to offer my guests is the opportunity to learn a little more about themselves, to get into dig deeper. That's why I told you guys I'm going to be digging deep, man, because again, that's one of my assignment. And so we watch people and we learn. I remember, I'll give you an example of my son. I came home one day, I'm in my suit, corporate America man, and, just has all these things on his mind. And I'm taking off my clothes and walking the hallways, concerned about the duties of a father and a husband. And that duty is all about bills and things like that. And I'm walking the hallway with my head down, and I felt this energy. My son did not say a word. I just felt his energy behind me, and I turned around, and it was my baby, Joshua, mimicking me, and it terrified me, and I never behaved that way in front of them again, because I realized I was teaching him something. I was teaching him about a state, and it troubled me. And so the question, what did you learn while you're watching these older siblings? What did you pick up from them and observe from them that you took into your being?
Basically, to be your own person, because that's what they were. They completely different interests, completely different lifestyle, completely different in so many ways. Yet I looked up to both of them. And so it didn't necessarily mean that I had to follow what they were doing. I could come into my own self and discover myself.
Yeah, that is excellent. And Jeff, who were your modelers, if you will, those that you looked upon to try and extract? We pick up a lot of things, man. You have the subconscious things, body language, all of these different things. We were watching mom and dad and those that are around us closely. And even if you look at yourself walking next to your dad or your mom, you're looking, people say, wow, you guys walk like each other. And so these subconscious things that we're picking up. What were you picking up, Jeff, while you were there in that quote unquote home, in that family?
Again, interesting question. I believe I picked up certain traits from both, my dad and my mom. And my parents got divorced when I was still young. So a lot of the role modeling, so to speak, and people have asked me this question before, a lot of it came from myself, from into just being guided. And I think I recognized at a younger age that the power is within me, and it's to sort of tap into that other consciousness that we all have.
Yeah.
And those were my guides and my markers.
But Jeff, that's powerful. How old were you when you began to get a glimpse of that understanding? Because that's a powerful thing for a young individual to begin to mingle with, if you will, think about and marinate on, which is basically meditating. How old were you?
I'd say somewhere around 7 or 8.
Wow,
I think
that's pretty intense.
I think I recognize that if I truly want something, or there's a certain way of being, that I could step into that.
That is,
I remember, feeling that at a really young age, and I can't isolate when, but I remember it was when, I was going to school, so that would have been around 6, 7, and yeah, I think around that time.
man, I was 30 something when I started thinking about that. So you see how far ahead you are of me. So here you are, guys. Jeff, you are at a young age, you have become aware that there is a you that is residing there. You said as this young individual. With that knowledge, how did you begin to interact with others? Again, the knowledge is just there on the surface, but we still learn ways by which we interact sometimes with each other. What was your interaction with others outside of you?
I believe that I engaged with people based on how they were perceiving the world. So I think I very, with an unconscious effort of it, just understood how to relate to people differently and be able to fall into the pattern is the first word that came to my mind, but I don't know if that's the right word, but fall into the way that would best serve that model of communication.
That's some pretty good insight, I think, for a young individual to have. Like I said, I was in my 30s, man. Don't shout me down, as the preachers would say. So, Mindy, here you are. You're looking at your sisters as your guide, and they taught you some impressive thing about independence and so forth. Were you that independent individual or not?
Yeah, I would say I was pretty independent. I spent a lot of time on my own with doing introspection and using my imagination.
How old were you, Mindy? How old were you?
Sorry?
How old were you when you began to do that, engage with your imagination and introspection?
For as long as I can remember. Like, we used to go on trips, and we would drive to Florida, days in the car, and I would just look out the window and be inside my mind the entire time. And the time just passed, and it was enjoyable, and I always enjoyed it, no matter how long the ride was, because I had my own head.
But you guys are at a young age practicing some of the most powerful tools, if you will. Jeff is looking inside, learning about the mind and the other individual that he is, which is the true him. You, Mindy, talking about the imagination. These are two powerful, powerful tools. that we as adults utilize to manifest, pull things from the quantum realm or from, in religion's language, from the heavenly places. These are powerful tools that we utilize to access that place and get things. And so here you are, young people becoming familiar with that. There are many of us, like I said, I'm a little late bloomer. Many of us later on began to become. So when you start that young, that tells me that you will become even more proficient in the usage of accessing those realms in your life. Now, so you guys are here. Jeff, you're looking at, you're growing up, a young buck, and you're thinking about college. And beyond that, you're coming to that fork in the road, if you will. You're leaving mom and dad. What was your conversation as far as where you're heading? Was it college or was it somewhere else? What was your decision there? If it's college, Jeff, why did you pick the field that you picked? If it was not, why did you pick the other route?
I did go to university. I went through the route of what I was most passionate about, which was writing and philosophy and that kind of thing. And that's what I studied. It was to serve what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to publish magazines. I wanted to be in that field where I can use my creativity and imagination, use that as a tool to impact in a positive way, hopefully, a lot of other people.
Yeah, I think, again, these are tools that gives us access to the quantum realm or to that spiritual realm that are very powerful tools. Writing is one of them. People call that journaling is another term. These are tools that will teach us, assist us as we move forward. Mindy, how was your process? What was yours? What did it look like when you were heading either to college or not? Or why did you pick that field?
Well, for me, it was a little different. I was just into socializing at that point. So, but also I wanted to, again, discover my independence. So I chose to go to college or university where I didn't know anyone. And I chose to go on my own and kind of figure myself out while I was there. So when I first applied, I didn't know necessarily what direction I wanted to go into. I knew kind of what I was interested in. And then I allowed my experience there to shape what ended up turning into my passion and what I ended up building with Jeff.
That's not why people pick to go to college, right?
I don't know. It was fun for me.
Because everyone has they're like, I'm going to be this, and here you are going to find yourself. I love it. It's just an unorthodox way of pursuing life. And I like that because your mind has begun to change, because there's this default program that is there that tells us this is how we ought to be. And both of you have been breaking that program. You've been on the outside of that program from since you were young kids. And so this is fascinating to see that you are pursuing the similar route, but you're on the outskirts, if you will. You're going for different reasons and purpose. Jeff knew his as far as writing and stuff, and yours was to learn about you. But most people I'm going format, I'm going here and there because mom and dad said so. So I love that uniqueness of you both. So here you are, you're in college. Talk to me as to when you guys met, because you guys met in college, right? How was that? Who spotted who, man?
We actually met, after that period because we didn't know each other.
I had just graduated, so it kind of counts.
We met like a whole bunch of times without actually knowing we met. We met at trade shows. We met at the gym. We met on a number of occasions. Mindy took the initiative to really reach out at me. I had a personal training studio that I had in my basement, and Mindy called to find out about how she can join me or be a personal trainer in what I was doing.
It wasn't exactly like that. It was like he put out a calling card for me because he had this huge sign on his front lawn, and it was personal training. And I like doubles. Like, so B was an interesting thing. It caught my attention, and it was right down the street from me. So my family and I we'd drive up and down the street. We'd always see it. My sister told me, you should reach out to this guy, and my brother-in-law told me the same thing, and eventually I did because he called me to it.
See, the truth comes out, man. Isn't it funny how I tell people I don't believe, guys, I used to believe that, that things were just haphazard. I've come as I've lived a little longer. I don't believe that. I believe there's a certain synchronicity because we are energetic beings. We send out signals, if you will, and those signals will pull people into our space, especially when we've made a decision on something, when we've decided within the realm of the subconscious mind. I believe since it's an energy made a decision, that that message is sent out to other energetic beings to pull them into that arena, just like Jeff did to pull you in, Mindy, the same thing. So here you are, you guys came in. Talk to us as to the evolution of your relationship as a individuals, if you will. Because as I said, I read that you guys did much stuff, and we're going to get into that. But what was the genesis, if you will, of your relationship, and how did you begin to exchange thoughts and information as to how you guys want to interact?
From my perspective, Mindy showed up at the exact time. I put out the call to the universe, and Mindy showed up at the exact time. And it was love at first sight. And it was also that we were both sort of on the same trajectory. And it just made sense to just be together. I mean, within the first 6 months, we were engaged. And, we've been together almost every day, all day, for over 25 years. It was the trajectory that we both saw and the vision that we both saw, and we built it together.
Yeah.
So, together we created some really great things by uniting what our passions were.
Yeah. And that is, I love how Mindy had started the conversation about pursuing the individualness. And I tell people, especially when I'm dealing with couples, you must be whole when you're coming into your relationship, whole as much as you possibly can. Whole means you are aware of yourself. You are on that journey of growth. You're never going to be perfect. There is no such thing. But when one is aware of the self, and I tell people, your journey looks like this when when you become an observer of your life, when you come outside all the noise and sit on the side and go, why am I behaving that way? When you become an observer of you, you have begun your journey, because what comes to that is that you begin to take responsibility. You're no longer a quote unquote victim. You are now looking at an individual and counting costs as to why you're acting this way. So as you guys are building this, and I use this in relationship with couples, I said you have both of you, you're individuals, but your relationship is an entity outside of you. And you have to do what's possible to protect that entity, because that is precious as they come. And who you allow in that space of your relationship, your entity, be very careful who you allow there, because they will learn. Some people will disrespect that piece, and some people will not understand the value of that piece. So you have to learn how to protect that entity that is your relationship from outside forces, if you will. How did you guys, because not everyone is going to agree with you and say, you guys look so cute, you belong to each other. Talk to us as to when those were coming in, guys, because again, you have to have this surety of yourself, number one, but also there's this understanding about your relationship. What was that agreement that you made with each other to become your North Star when things were all over the place?
I don't think we ever had an agreement of it. It just we've evolved our relationship to be one where we're constantly helping each other, be better.
Yeah.
I think that's part of that journey. And as far as, our career together, we just both stepped into the roles that we both were passionate about doing. And some were in different areas. Some were in areas that we didn't really want to do, but one of us each took a certain end of it. And we molded that.
Talk to us as to bring the audience into what did you create? Talk to them about that.
So together we created what's known as the natural bodybuilding and fitness model events and industry. We produced hundreds of expos and events around the world, produced television shows, published magazines, spoke on stages, all this to provide people who wanted to go on a journey of transformation the stage and the platform to transform, to first visualize that they can do it, and then give them something that they can create a goal to achieve that, and then provide them that platform on those stages to showcase it and inspire other people. That was our first entry point, and it's really what we've always done, although we're going in slightly different directions now, but it's all still that same basic premise of give people an opportunity to express who they are, to be happy, and to inspire others.
Yeah, it's a and Mindy?
Yeah, our goal has been to help people discover themselves so that they can evolve and actually express who they are and share their gifts with the world. Like Jeff said, we started it by finding these pathways and platforms that actually created a niche culture that still thrives today. But then we looked into this culture and we realized even though we provided them with a start to a transformative journey and we provided them with the ability to be proud of themselves and their accomplishments, it wasn't enough because our focus at that point was on the body, the physical appearance, transforming how you look, transforming how you appear so that you may look fit and strong, but it doesn't necessarily mean that inside all of that, you're truly happy, you're truly feeling fulfilled, and you're actually on the right pathway with your life. So after we recognized that, we decided that we had to go deeper. And so we evolved what we were doing so that beyond appearance, it's about how you think, how you function, and how you feel. And all of those things go into helping someone truly be happy. So we are now providing platforms for people to do this, and we're providing an entry point through a book series that we're writing, which Jeff actually started when he was just like a little teen because he loves writing so much. So he brought me into it. And now we're putting the wisdom and the learnings that we came across after mentoring with so many people in the empowerment space, in the fitness world, in the wellness world, to really give a message to people that everyone's special. You just have to choose to believe. Discover what it is that is your passion and go out there and create and express and enjoy.
One of our overarching, I guess, mottos or slogans or whatever the right term is to dream big, to do ridiculous, and achieve remarkable. To step out of that comfort. One, to allow yourself to be able to dream, to visualize what's in your mind's eye of what you can be or what you can do. And normally that process means going against what you normally were doing, which normally is something ridiculous, And if you keep your focus towards that, you can achieve something remarkable, whether that's just for yourself or for your family and your friends around you or on a bigger level.
It's almost like staying true, because if you're ridiculed, you don't have to pay attention to that. That's somebody else's opinion. It's not your intuitive knowledge about what you can achieve. It's not your imagination. It's not your dream. It's you have to focus on your dream and your purpose, and what other people's opinions are of you. It doesn't matter. So if you're ridiculed, maybe you're on the right path. Now you can go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. Yeah, the ridicule part is, I tell people this, guys. Faith is not faith until it's tested. Until it's tested, it's just an opinion. And so if you believe in what you are doing, you don't care what anyone else says. If it is your truth, Your truth will set you free. Your truth is not my truth. It's not Paul's truth. It's not Debbie's truth. It's your truth. And once you have located that truth, whatever that is, because I've been trying to teach and educate everyone that you are a creator. You are a creator. You are the essence of power. You can imagine and create. How you accept those thoughts, what you do with those thoughts, you can give life to those thoughts, because everything that we have in this natural realm came from that space of thought. Everything that we are looking at today is from that realm of thought. Psychologists call that realm the quantum realm. As I said, religion will say the heavenly places. Those are where your stuff is. And the only way you can access that is you have to learn how to empty the self. You have to learn how to relinquish all of your unbelief, your dark, low thinking and energetic belief, all that stuff, and stand in that quantum realm, in those heavenly places, in your essence. And when you stand there, everything becomes possible for you to do, to create. No one can stop you. You should never allow anyone's opinion of you affect who you are, because you are a creator. So get into the space by which you are going to create. And now we have a team that has, through the years, understand. They started on the physical aspect of it, and they've now married the spiritual part, the subconscious piece. And all of you guys that are listening out there, self-love means self-love. It means the body, the soul, it means everything. So they have answers to all, to the body aspect, how to respect, how to honor the body, what needs to be done there. I'm sure they have the nutrition and all the other pieces, because that's all a part of it. Then you have the psychological part of it. I see the hand, guys. I see the hand. It's an inside joke to all the audience, guys. I'm going to leave it inside. I'm going to tell them, don't edit this at all. Leave this right here. And so here's a team that I would consider it wellness. They're dealing with wellness, the entire being, putting that together. And you have access to them. I'm going to give you all their information because it's necessary. Self-love is about the spiritual and the physical. Love yourself, guys. Honor yourself. Learn how to take care of your body because it's yours. Learn how to manage it with your thoughts. Become who you are, a creator, and create what you want. Here you guys are. You are now using all these venues and accesses. Mindy said you, after noticing, you guys saw that it's also needs to incorporate the spiritual aspect. When you noticed that, you guys, again, were focusing on the physical piece. What was happening in your life, guys, that caused you to see that piece? Because you've been training for years. What did that transition look like, Jeff, and then Mindy? What did that look like when you guys recognized that truth?
It was that we lost the motivation for what we were doing. We
Wow.
were disillusioned in the approach that we were taking, and recognized that there can be a better way to do it. And that our intention for what we were doing, although it helped people transform their lives and gave people the goal to change who they are and be able to get on magazine covers and TV shows and have pictures to show, for generations. But we recognized that there was something missing. We recognized that we lost our motivation to continue down the same pathway that we were in. So it took a number of years to wind down that direction, or it took some time of having to listen to the intuition, because when you don't, it doesn't go in the right route. But when we made the decision, it was to change things up and sort of take a break and go back to, well, what do we need to learn for ourselves? What do we need to understand differently so that we can take a message out differently?
Yeah, I came back here because I know there's a cost, guys. You don't go into that realm without something happening, an event that are several events that accumulate to bring you to a place where you start walking into that realm. Mindy, how would you explain it in your terminology as your mind state when you're looking at that same situation?
Well, for me, it's like what Jeff said about the motivation, but it's twofold. So my motivation was lost, but then it was resparked because I realized that there was a different way to do things. So my motivation dwindled, and we decided after that to shift our focus when I noticed that the people who we were providing the platform
Mhm.
and who I was interviewing for the magazines, who had these amazing, amazing stories and like who were so happy to be on stage and doing everything, that when it came time to the awards and they didn't place where they wanted, everything changed. Their whole personality, their attitude, and it no longer became of something that they accomplished for getting on the stage, which they had told me before. It
Yeah.
became like a self-worth thing. They felt that they failed. They felt that they were being judged and they were judging themselves even worse. So while everyone in
Wow.
the audience is still cheering them on, they're there feeling like they failed, and they didn't because they did something remarkable. So
Yeah.
seeing their faces, I remember so often just like feeling distraught, like because what we were trying to provide was to help people become more happy, confident, fulfilled, and then be an inspiration and an influencer for others. And when we realized that that kind of it was working, but an element of it was backfiring. And when it's about the body and it translates into self-love and that self-love isn't there, it was really triggering for us. And that caused us to want to make a change. And the motivation then changed from being demotivated from what we didn't do well. It changed into a motivation to fine tune and figure it out how we can change it and do it well. And so
Yeah.
ever since that point, we went on a journey of introspection so that we can learn self-love, so that we could ensure that we had all the right tools and understanding so that we could properly pass that on to others through a different sort of platform. And that's what we've been
And
working on.
and Jeff, when you embarked on that journey of self-love and began to self um, introspection, as you said, and looking at yourself and digging deep, what did you find, Jeff?
Well, at first, because we were so entrenched in this world of fitness and bodybuilding, it was a very big change to go on because the focus was. And what I did find is that you can achieve that level of happiness without having to do it just through your physique. You could achieve that level of happiness if you're open to the guidance, the intuition that is inside, and learning that aspect of what is self-love, what is self-growth, what does it mean to be happy or to feel empowered. So it was that journey, but I'm not saying that, we stopped the events and the next day I was now this new transformed person.
Oh no,
It took
yeah, it takes time.
it took time, and we
Time, yeah.
had the luxury of being able to mentor under some amazing people and leaders in their respective fields, and that is what was really important. To achieve the things that you want to achieve, you need to tap into what your unique abilities and talents are, and you have to uncover the things that are deeper within.
Yeah.
So, that whole aspect that, yeah, we focused on the outward appearance, it's so much more than that. And
Yeah.
that's been our journey.
And Mindy, what did you find when you began to look in? Because we all see different things within ourselves and discover things. What did you begin to locate in you that you felt you needed to address and to take a deeper look at?
Well, I recognize that it's important to make my voice heard and to speak up and to that it's not external validation that's important. It's the whole self-love, and the self-love comes with knowing yourself, discovering your passions, discovering what lights you up. And when you discover that, it's it's valuable because then you know what to speak about. You know, like coming back to making my voice heard, you know, kind of, you know yourself from a different angle. And it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with other people's opinions. It has nothing to do with the external validation. It just has to do with your own inner joy and happiness. And it's like a remarkable way to journey through life by going introspective and choosing and deciding to decide, which is a phrase Jeff likes to use, deciding to decide to self-discover and self-grow and self-empower so that you can live the life that you would love to live.
Yeah, I love that, Jeff, that phrase, deciding to decide, because I grew up in a church and there's a scripture in there that says to declare a thing and it shall be established. And when I love language and I love studying the original language and all that stuff, the original language says to decide a thing and it will be established. You have to decide it, Jeff, before you declare it. And you can't declare any damn thing until you decide it. And I tell them, I said, from a Christian point of view where I grew up, when I try to educate people about a creator, that you are a creator, I take them to Genesis to show them in language, in written language, written from the Christian belief system, what a creator is doing and the mindset of a creator. The creator said, because I read that he said, let's make man in our image. So he had already decided what he wanted. And then he said, we need some place to put him. And so he comes on this earth and it's a little messy. And I tell people, creation is always darkness first. We're watching the creator, right? I mean, he shows up in his darkness. And then the creator became very specific with what they want because he had decided what he wants. He needs to create a space to put for this man. And he said, I need light. Let there be light. The response was, and there was light. So then when he decided, guys, he then declared it and it became a possibility. And he did that. When we're looking at a creator, we access the same realm, the quantum realm, the heavenly realm, if you will, because he began to speak from that place of the heavenly realm, calling what he wanted. And so that's who we are. It's the same principles that we use. The imagination, he had to figure out what he wanted. And he wanted trees, he wanted this, so he created what he had in his imagination. Let make man. And so we can do the very same thing. And I'm so proud and honored to have you guys here because you guys got a chance to dance in both realms, because most people focus on the physical aspect and doesn't understand that that's just not who they are. There's another part of you that you need to access, and you guys got in touch with that, and now you're teaching people about both realms and how to access the inner part, which will bring you much more deeper things than just the physical aspect. But we are all creators. You guys are creating, you're recreating your world. You took a step back, you began to dig in, understand what is necessary, what you need, and then you decide to decide. And once you decide to decide, you begin to make those announcements, if you will, and calling those things because it's energy. The atoms and all that stuff began to form and created light, just like what we do. It's no different. And so I tell people, if you want to see what a creator do, go read Genesis and then get up and do it. So get up and do the same thing, you'll be okay. So here you guys are, you have redirected the life assignment. You have a full understanding of the assignment. And I tell people, once you've found your assignment, yeah, things begin to happen here. It's never easy, as Jeff stated. It takes time to manifest. I tell people, it took God, the creator of all power, took him 7 days, man. And so it's going to take you some time to create your world, and don't try to get it on an instantaneous thing, because you're going to miss it, and you'll miss all the beauty of the time that it takes to get it, because there's much beauty there. There's knowledge, understanding, and so forth. So here you guys have made the turn. Talk to us as to bring us into one of those meetings. Here I am. I've listened to the conversation with Ken. I find myself a mess. I look good though, but I'm a mess. You know, I mean, physically I'm all right, man. You know, sexy as ever. Anyway, I call you guys and I said, I heard the conversation. I need some help. Walk us through that process, guys, because I want them to get a chance. So when they show up, that they're showing up understanding their purpose to receive. Walk us through that process that you guys have now designed to assist an individual to move from point A to point B.
You know what? It brings it back to what we started this chat about, which is happiness. So one of the ways that we are doing it a bit differently is, as Mindy was alluding, we wrote a comedy book series. The comedy book series is designed to help people to laugh their way to happiness. It's filled with all kinds of laugh out loud moments, however, embedded with deeper messages of self-growth and self-love and empowerment. Designed so that in that moment when you can laugh, like truly laugh, when you're in that state, you're now in a more open awareness state where you're in the moment. And in the moment, you can be more open to those underlying messages and have those moments at the same. That's our intention. It's to get people to think differently, you know, to rethink the way that they've been looking at things and see it from a different perspective. That's in part, you know, one of the ways that we're guiding people through a different journey, because laughter is available to anyone. A smile is available to anyone, and it doesn't cost anything. And you could do it at any moment, and you could do it throughout the day. In fact, it takes less muscles to smile than it is to frown. So we're using laughter as a gateway to help people, you know, look at things differently, and hopefully through that process, they'll start to act different.
Okay, and Mindy, from your perspective, because I always tell people when you have a man and a woman, you have two perspectives, but when you hear them both, it is more powerful. It is unified. It comes from different angles. But when you hear it and you understand the vision and what they're trying to say, powerful. Mindy, yours, how did you look at that?
Well, I would say if somebody came to us, I would say read the book, because if there's something in the book that captures your attention, then you can take action to learn more, and you can take action for yourself. So from our book, we actually lead people into a network where they can access the innovators, the influencers, the educators, the experts, and the specialists who can actually help them go further on whatever aspect it is that they gravitated towards. So like Jeff was saying, throughout the book, there's all these different sort of lessons, but they're subtle. Only get it if you're looking for it, if that's kind of what your purpose is, that's what you need to improve on. And so you would then be able to access those resources to help yourself get further. So really important is to be mindful, to be present. And that's what Jeff was saying. When you're reading the book, you are present because you're going to laugh. You're only going to laugh if you get the joke because you're reading it. And so it's actually a very beneficial way to help people get into that moment, to self-discover what it is that they need or what turns them on or what interests them, so that they can now go on their own journey of transformation and inner growth.
And that book, guys, entitled Ridiculous. I love it. I love your title. I wish I could steal it for something, and laughter, as we stated, we started this conversation. Laughter is a powerful, as stated, it's free and it affects you at a cellular level. One of the things in the power of laughter is that it keeps you present. We are required to live in the present. If we step away from the present, that's when we get into trouble. We go into the past. There's depression there. There's shame there. There's all kinds of wonderful dark things over there in that area. So I recommend you guys stay present. In the future, they got a couple of things waiting for you there too. There's fearfulness, there's anxiety, all those kinds of wonderful dark things are waiting there just to hug you and kiss you. So you have to decide where As Jeff states, decide that I'm going to stay present. I'm going to stay right here. Because if you stay here in that space, that's where your freedom lies. So that's where understanding is. That's where wisdom is. That's where all the stuff that gives you flavor resides. Because it is stated that tomorrow is not promised to you, only today. So utilize your time, your today, your seconds. Introduce laughter. Get their books. Guys, you've heard me say it a million times. Books house freedom. It is powerful stuff. You have to come to that book with a expectation that I'm going to get my stuff. And when you come there, that means you're going to come ready. You're going to have your space set, your coffee, your tea. The kids are going to be out taking a nap or at the neighbor's house, and you get your couple of minutes. Within those pages is wisdom that Jeff and Mindy had years of their life. And they've put it in a format where it's more digestible, with laughter, be able to penetrate all of those hardness that you have. Buy it for friends, get it for husbands and wives, get it for those tough people that needs to laugh. Get these books, guys, because again, within the pages of those books are freedom. And we are interested in freedom here at Threads of Enlightenment. And I know both Jeff and Mindy are interested in freedom because their life is a testimony to that. And so I have kept them long. I went past the sign, and I am so honored that they took the time, guys, to share all of this wonderful stuff with us. And we really want to honor them and thank them for coming. And again, you guys, get their books. I'm going to provide all the links for you guys to get access to them because you need to be free. I desired for you to be free because I know what it feels like. Jeff and Mindy knows what it feels like. You need this stuff, man. It's like one of the most powerful drugs you'll ever have in your life. Guys, I want to thank you, man, for coming and sharing and making us laugh and allowing us to see who you are. And I honor you both, and I thank you for what you have done in your work.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.